Welcome to the Scottsdale Vibes podcast. I'm your favorite host, Alicia Haygood. I'm sitting here with Sean Shackleton, our favorite real estate agent. Sean, we're recording this right now. It's the middle of Barrett-Jackson. We have Waste Management coming up, the Super Bowl. I don't know if you knew that was coming to town.
I did not know. Thank you.
The big game, I've been told. I'm going to try to get out to enjoy some activities, but I don't know if I can make it. What I can make, though, is the time to learn from you. It is the new year. Everything is shifting right now in the market. By the time this episode airs, I hope it's still up to date with what you're going to tell me. But what are you seeing right now as the new year is changing?
A lot. It's crazy. I think that the low numbers that we saw in December, everybody was pretty confident going into 2023 that we were going to see numbers falling even farther. The market was going to be really slow. We knew we would pick up in January a little bit because we always do, but the level that we've picked up has kind of surprised a lot of people.
In what way?
Well, our mortgage applications are up by 28%. As well as the number of contracts that have gone, or homes that have gone under contract since January. I mean, in December, the last week of December, we saw like 800 homes go under contract.
Wow.
And the third week of January, it just has grown exponentially since January, the first week of January. Every single week, the number of homes that have gone under contract has gotten higher and higher and higher. So we're seeing demand back in the market. Our interest rates have dropped, which has really spurred some of that on, as well as the fact that people are still out there being able to negotiate. So not only negotiate on price, but negotiate on some terms. Now, it depends on the price point you're in. The luxury market, we're not seeing negotiation on like concessions and things like that. That's kind of the hot button right now that everyone's talking about, like the buy downs for interest rates and things. In the luxury market, we don't see that. We see it more negotiation on price point.
Okay.
In the lower market, and when I say lower, I mean we're still
talking $500,000 or more.
It's $500,000. You know, buyers are asking the seller, "Hey, I need some concessions to buy down my rate even farther to make the homes more affordable," and it's still happening.
Okay. That gives me hope. Right.
But the demand has picked up and the number of homes on the market has not. So the big thing is, and I just did a video about this. The big thing is that last year everyone's saying we had historically low inventory, which we did. The difference now is that we don't have the same number of homes coming on the market as we did last year. Last year, the homes would come on the market and they would go right back off. And so the number of homes we had under contract was so high that the number of active listings that we had was really low. Where now we have homes coming on the market, but we don't have the same number coming on the market, and the number of homes going under contract is growing. There's a contract ratio that you look at, and so our contract ratio is actually growing, which throws everything towards the sellers, which also throws Cromford Market Index towards the sellers. So we just literally crested back into a seller's market. And again, I say this with caution. Yeah. It is a very soft seller's market. It is not that sellers hold all the power and we're back into the crazy bananas bidding more. It's not that. It is on a few houses, and I was just sharing with you, I just had a client that we were one of 3 offers, all cash, and we didn't get it only because of one other term. Not had to do with price, didn't have anything. It was one other term. So it is happening, but the house has to be a really good house. It's got to be updated. It's got to be in the right location, and it's got to be priced right. So if those people had priced their house too high, that wouldn't have happened.
Okay.
It just wouldn't have happened.
Also, and that's what you were saying too. You were talking about, you're still getting sales off market. And you had someone call you and be like, I didn't see that one listed. Yeah. And you have always said this, please, please, please listen. If you don't hear anything else this entire segment, find a realtor because they know more than you.
You said that. I did not.
It's true, though. Like, you know what's going on. You know the house is coming up, which just helps the buyer to me at ease.
It is. And to that point, I get a lot of people, and especially right now, again, I know this is going to come out later, but right now it seems like the Goldman Sachs headline is everywhere. That Goldman Sachs is saying that home prices in the Phoenix area are going to come down another 25%.
That's a huge percent that they're claiming.
The numbers that we are looking at right now, I am not giving my opinion. This is not my opinion. The numbers, just the numbers of pure data that we're looking at, absolutely does not support that. It does not.
It doesn't seem plausible with what we've seen from the market here in Phoenix for the past 3 years.
Well, and but in December, right? Now, if they're looking at those numbers, I could see how they might pontificate that we would get to 25%, but January has flipped the switch. And it's changed everything.
Don't read the headlines, read the story.
Exactly. And I mean, I watched a video of somebody about that, and it was somebody from Goldman Sachs, and said he was pretty adamant. Nope, in Vegas, in Phoenix, in Austin, and a few of the other areas that saw the tremendous growth, that we will see another 25% decrease in our prices. Again, the numbers that we are looking at today, it's not. It's not there.
One thing I did read, and I want to ask you about this, when all of that was going on during the pandemic and the housing market was absolutely crazy, it was a lot of investors coming in and buying. Has that slowed down a little bit? Is that helping the buyer market some?
It is. And so what's happened is that when our market started to really increase in purchase price and it started to get really crazy, the percentage of people that were not only investors but those iBuyers, that increased percentage of buyers in the market really drastically increased. Mm-hmm. And so we normally see about 75% owner-occupied as far as the purchases in our market. That shrunk to about 62%.
Okay.
And so since our market has shifted, which was back in like May, June, we've seen that the percentage of owner-occupied has grown back to about 75%. And the investors has shrunk and the iBuyers have come way down because Zillow's now out of the market. We didn't have a lot of Redfin here in our market, but Redfin's out of the market. Open Door's just not buying as many homes because they're losing a bunch of money on all the homes. And OfferPad has always been more conservative on their purchases and sales. And so they're not losing as much money as Open Door because Open Door was so aggressive.
Yeah.
But they're still losing some money on some homes. So, it's shifted.
What are you predicting? What do you think is going to happen with like interest rates settling, going down a little bit more? What's going on with that, do you think?
I think it's funny because if you read the headlines, the Fed has already said that they are going to probably pull back in the drastic cuts, right? Or the drastic increases, I should say. And the Fed fund rate is not directly tied to the mortgage interest rate. However, it's tied to the bond market, the whole thing. It's really convoluted.
Very confusing.
Right. It's very confusing. But the reality is that as the inflation starts to shift and inflation's coming down, Barry Habib, who is a genius when it comes to interest rates, he predicted on November 10th that our interest rates would come down. It happened. And he has a whole background of why, and the PPE and the core CPI and all that, why those numbers are going to come down. May 10th is his next one.
Okay.
So he's saying on May 10th, the interest rates will come down again. So between now and May 10th, I think we're probably going to bounce around a little bit.
Yeah.
I think we're going to stay right around 6.
Okay.
Right now, I feel like we've bounced from like 6.1 to 6.3. Could I see it drop just below 6 at some point? Maybe, but I think it'll pop back up pretty fast. So I think we're going to stick right around in this 6 price point or in this 6 percentage for a little while. And then when May 10th hits, it'll be very interesting. I mean, I watch him pretty consistently. And he is dead on with what he's saying just because he's looking at year-over-year numbers.
Yeah.
Right? And that was when our inflation really started to peak. And when it started to peak, now our inflation's down. And so when you look at year-over-year numbers, it's drastically different. And so they can start kind of the interest rates can start kind of coming down.
See, this is why I make friends with you. So I can understand it in layman's terms because there are so many different factors that affect it.
Right. And I mean, I'm not a lender, so I don't follow the interest rates every single day, but I've got great lenders that I talk to and it's eye-opening when you start looking at it. And that's the big thing. Like when I've got buyers right now, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't afford it. And the interest rates are so high. I'm like, your job as a buyer right now is to, one, talk to a lender and get pre-qualified and understand what you can afford. But then just keep your eyes on those interest rates because as they come down, it just builds your buying power.
Yeah.
And I've got some people that tell me like, I'm not buying again until the prices come down. The prices are still too high. And this is something else to know. If interest rates come down by a point, it's like reducing the purchase price by 11%.
That much?
Yeah. So, I mean, I understand. Trust me. I get it that you want prices to come down. Everybody does. And I 100% understand that. But just because prices don't come down, or if they don't come down to where you think they should be, if interest rates come back down, it's like the house prices come down. Because the bottom line is, it doesn't, for some people, it matters what the home price is. But the bottom line is for the majority, what matters is what your mortgage payment is.
What's your monthly payment?
So if you can afford the mortgage payment, even if the loan is bigger than you wanted or the house price is bigger than you wanted, if you can afford it, then it's okay. And I say this all with the massive caveat, right?
Yes.
Massive job loss, everything changes. Interest rate spike, everything changes.
What doesn't change is your dedication to helping us, though, Sean.
Thank you. I love
Tell us where we can find you besides your YouTube channel that is very entertaining and fun. And most importantly, it's informative. Like, you make learning about real estate fun. And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I know I can trust you. So go find her on YouTube at Sean Shackleton. Where can we find you? SeanShackleton.com. Everywhere in Scottsdale and beyond.
Yes. And my phone number, 480-734-7277.
And as always, you can find this on our website, on our social media, on our newsletters, everywhere that the Scottsdale Vibes podcast is. Sean, thank you for, number one, just staying on top of it, informing us, and taking care of us here in the market. Trust me, all her buyers say it. I've been looking with her for a while now. I will commit, I promise.
When you're ready.
When I'm ready, yes. Stay tuned. We'll have more when we come back. With over 20 years of experience in real estate, Sean Shackleton, the Shackleton Group, is ready for you. Sean is a well-respected, full-time agent that is always at the forefront of both market trends and market technology. Most importantly, she is a realtor who will listen and always put your needs first. It's no wonder Sean is named as one of America's top 100 real estate agents. So whether you're buying or selling or need a good neighbor, call Sean of the Shackleton Group at 480-734-7277 or find them on the web at theshackletongroup.com. Experience Scottsdale is a one-stop shop to learn all about the great events and places here in Scottsdale. Besides this podcast, of course. The leader is none other than Rachel Sacco, president and CEO of Scottsdale Visitors Bureau for over 30 years. She's actually the only leader of the Experience Scottsdale. She's a Scottsdale Hall of Fame inductee, as well as a Drinkwater Leadership Award winner from Scottsdale Leadership. When it comes to Scottsdale, Arizona, Rachel and her team at Experience Scottsdale literally put us on the map. So Rachel, thank you so much for joining us today. We're recording this right in the middle of Scottsdale Super Season. Great tagline, by the way. So I just want to start with you. Let's talk about this month of February, starting with Barrett Jackson, the end of January, up through the Arabian Horse Show. What has this month been like for you and your team?
It has been like a dream for anyone who is promoting a destination. There are so many beautiful places in the world. And when we live here, sometimes we forget that people come here from all over the world just to have a bit of what we get to experience every single day. To me, that is very, very humbling. And I must tell you, the type of visitors that come here are the type of visitors that all of my competitors want. And we're not just competing with next door neighbors like California or maybe, Hawaii or maybe even Florida, as great as those destinations are. We're competing for people who can choose to go anywhere in the world. It might be a safari, or it might be a cruise, or it might be, climbing a mountain, or it might just be in an exotic little private beach. So here we are in the middle of this super season, which I will say actually began with our Fiesta Bowl. We have had a contract with the Fiesta Bowl to have, even though the game is played in Glendale, just like the Super Bowl, all of the teams for 20 years, since 2006 until 2026, all the teams, all of the alumni, the bands, the fans, everyone stays in Scottsdale. And that might be like, well, of course, where else would they want to stay? But, back then when we did this back in 2006, it wasn't always, just determined. We like to be very humble about, let's put our best foot forward, but let's do everything we can to guarantee that we have a great season with all of these events and the visitors that come, because it's so good for our residents, keeping our taxes low and everything that tourism does. So we can talk a lot about super season. I should probably take a breath and let you maybe ask me a different question, but I got to tell you, we are jazzed. We just went last night for the kickoff for the ESPN broadcast. And Alicia, ESPN has been so great to Scottsdale. Virtually every Super Bowl that we've had here, and we've had 4 that I've been involved in, they have always broadcast from Scottsdale. They love it. And if you have a chance to go down to Main Street this week before Super Bowl, you will see the charm of what brought Scottsdale to the, to the whole tourism arena. It's charming, it's fun, it's friendly. And yet there's all these incredible mega things that you can do in this little sweet community that make it bigger than life, but also feels really friendly and homey too.
I think that you said it right there. This is how I describe Scottsdale. Like we are a major top city in the nation. But like when you come here, it doesn't feel like that. You feel like you're in a small town. Everyone here is helpful. I'm from the South and you have Southern hospitality here. I will
We
say
do.
that.
I'm from the South too. We do have it.
We do. And I think that says a lot about who we are, as residents in the community of Scottsdale. So let's kind of talk about how you and your team at Experience Scottsdale really work to put Scottsdale on the map. You've been the leader for over 30 years. I want to see what it took to where Scottsdale was in the 80s to get it onto the map to where we're at today, because we were just ranked this week as the top 26 most popular place in the world, Rachel, to come visit, which is huge for us.
Well, our goal has always been to really focus on using tourism as a tool to better the people who live here, to better their lives. And I think that when you stay authentic to that, you tell your story very authentically, you really care about how the destination evolves. So when I began in 1986, basically almost 37 years ago, at the Chamber of Commerce where we were born, basically it was still called the most western town. And as you experienced, I think you went to Hash Knife Gang and the Pony Express, and we had our parada this last weekend. There is still a lot to be said about Scottsdale with its Western roots, even if it's just this background that's behind me. To me, that says the West and wide open spaces. But what we tried to do was really double down on what is it that we have that's unique, that makes people feel really good, and then to try to shepherd the destination along with our wonderful city council members. We have a mayor right now that is like, he is everywhere. He loves Scottsdale so much, David Ortega, just like every mayor has. And they always do their best to get a vision for how do we move forward without losing the things that made us special. And I think that's part of why Scottsdale is so beloved. So we have worked just diligently to bring out what we know people love. A lot of it is the scenery. A lot of it is I'll tell you what people tell me. Visitors tell me over and over without any prompting, I don't know what it is about Scottsdale, but I just feel better when I'm here. And I feel better when I leave than when I arrived. And so that became part of one of our campaigns. So we're just trying to get a connection to people that helps them understand that here, there's so many things that you can do that are world-class restaurants and shopping and events, world-class. But you can also just be a person here with your daughter, your son, your husband, your friends, your girlfriends. You can celebrate events here. And it's really how you feel. And honestly, I have to credit our residents because our residents are so good to our visitors. They are friendly, even though there's probably not a lot of restaurant reservations you can get this week. And I'm really sorry about that. If you're a resident and you're listening, I'm sorry. But maybe in next month, have at it. But it's tourism has been so good to us. It keeps our taxes low and it gives us something to really experience as a visitor in our own town. So
I love that. I actually was standing in a line at the store this week while everyone's in town, and this local is like, I called and said, I'm a local, I can't eat here. And the owner is like, I'm sorry, can you come back in 2 weeks? Like you have the availability to be flexible. These people are visiting. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Just give it a little bit of time and we'll get our city back. But I'm really, really proud to show off this city right now. My city, this is definitely home for us. And you talk about how it makes you feel. There really is something special about the energy, the atmosphere, the community, the camaraderie that does something to your heart and your soul internally. And you don't have to go to a spa. There are many around here that can make you feel that way. It just brings out something natural. When I first moved to Arizona, I didn't know anything about it. In fact, my dad and I were driving down from Nevada, moving here, and he's like, I can't wait to see a saguaro cactus. I hope we see one when we get into town. And now there's one in my backyard and they're all over. And so for us, we're like, oh my gosh, they're everywhere. There is something special about the desert that really connects you to the earth and to who you are and to the people around you. And it really does bring out a joy in you, and every sunset and every sunrise is special. So I am with you on all of that. Let's talk about how Experience Scottsdale got started. You were a member of the chamber. I am an active member of our chamber.
So am I.
They are so good. I want to talk about how Experience Scottsdale got from the chamber to be its own entity and really help bring Scottsdale on the map in that way.
Well, the chamber kind of, as a good bird mother would do, kind of pushed us out of the nest. They had things that they wanted to do that were a little bit more political at the time, that were right for the chamber at the time. And because we are funded not at all on any of sales tax dollars, we are funded by private sector dollars from our members and by visitor generated bed tax dollars. So when a visitor stays at a property and they generate that tax, part of it goes back into a perennial fund to make sure that our organization can bring visitors here on a year-round basis. So the chamber and the Experience Scottsdale separated in 2001 very amicably. I'm on the chamber board, big fan of the chamber, and they're doing great. And so are we. We are completely apolitical. We work with every council to help them really establish their vision based on what the residents want. And we use tourism as a tool to make our lives better. And I think we've been successful in that. And that's all we care about, really. And to help the businesses that depend on tourism to actually get pieces of that business. Now, you may think, well, maybe it's just visitor generated type of properties like hotels and restaurants that maybe are supporting us. But you'd be surprised, even on our board of directors, we have the CEO of Honor Health. We have development people. We have people that are in like the Charros, people that are in very different organizations, not for profit, that recognize that tourism is important to the quality of life here that allows those businesses to attract creative talent from around the world. Because talent is hard to come by. And, it's a beautiful place to live here, but people are looking for a lot when they want to put their footprint here and live here, as you know, moving here. So we have had a very successful long career, and we work with virtually every department of the city of Scottsdale, as well as the town of Paradise Valley. And as I said, our role is to try to get a year-round, very high-value visitor to come here that is very much like our resident. And when they leave, and they do, so don't get worried, they do leave, they leave behind nearly $3 billion each and every year in economic impact in our little community, just because they visited and spent their dollars here.
Scottsdale we live off of tourism, and, COVID hit us hard during that time. I love hearing that high number, but let's talk about that, because for a city to rely strictly on majority of tourism for our money, to keep our taxes down, stuff like that, that's a big responsibility, Rachel. No pressure at all. How do you and your team really work hard to bring in the guests? What are some of y'all's marketing? Where do y'all go, and what do y'all do for that?
The very first thing that we always do is we know that when you are taking even visitor-generated dollars that are given to us or invested through a contract through the city, we have to show an ROI. So we spend a lot of our time doing research. We have something called Visitor Industry Customer Analysis. We're one of the few communities in the entire country that have their hotels participate in something that, through a third party, allows us to see really, in a sense, like what's the real visitor that's coming to our properties? What do they look like? Who are they? We can do overlays to kind of find out what do they, what's important to them? How do we develop our messaging to get more of those types of visitors? We also have geolocation data. So we can tell when a visitor is coming from a place here through a third party, and we can tell really what they are seeing and doing. So during COVID in particular, this was really important. We didn't know where our visitors would be coming from. We assumed there wouldn't be the robust fly market, but we didn't know how far people would drive to come here. So all of a sudden, this new data showed we were getting all these new destinations. Some of them were close, like Las Vegas, but weren't necessarily in our top market before. Some of them were more like strange, like maybe coming out of Ohio or Michigan or Wisconsin. People were coming here and driving. And basically, when we knew that they were coming, then we could use that data to then go back to those markets, tell them more about Scottsdale and marketing messages. And now we found that those new markets, as we used to call them, now are becoming loyal markets. So we have so much research. We can tell down to a zip code where our high value visitor is. So when you think about, this is where budget comes in, it's really important. We have of our competitive domestic set, the only one that has a smaller budget than we is Tucson. So we're competing with destinations that have 4 and 5 times our budget. But because our research can pinpoint down to the zip code, even in very, very expensive media markets where we have television and radio, et cetera, like New York, Chicago, San Francisco, et cetera, LA. Again, we don't have to buy the whole metro area. We can figure out down to the zip code where we place messaging. So we are really, and we test our messages. So every other year we test our advertising, we test our marketing messages, and we see, are they resonating? And if not, we change them. So our message is right, the location is right. We do quality work. We have an in-house creative team that is just bar none. So it's just a joy to talk about, again, that scenery behind me and to let people around the world see it and then get to experience it.
That's really cool. I love that. I love data. I mean, here at the podcast, we kind of do the same thing, trying to always get your target audience to grow and be seen and stuff like that. It's really interesting to see who's coming here and why and the distance. And it just goes to show you and your team the work that you're putting through is working because the visitors are coming. You know, the message is clear and loud and they hear it and they are running. And I love hearing that. I'm going to take a short break really quick. When we come back, I want to talk about what the future of Scottsdale looks to you and how you've seen it kind of flourish over the years. So we'll be right back. Are you like me and love a good fried chicken sandwich? Maybe a grilled chicken salad of some sort. How about those hot and fresh fries, all washed down with some fresh squeezed tea or a milkshake? Are you hungry yet? Then you need to go check out Bird Call, located at the corner of Scottsdale and Shea, for everything delicious, fresh, all natural, and locally sourced. Bird Call started with a mission to make natural food more accessible. Not only are they feeding us all natural food, but 1% of their sales goes to support local schools, charities, and organizations here in Scottsdale. You can see all the delicious details by visiting eatbirdcall.com or just driving to their location on Scottsdale and Shea. Oh, and did I mention they're open on Sundays? Unlike some other chicken places, you can get your chicken fix 7 days a week. Bird Call, your only choice when it comes to all natural and delicious chicken. I'm sitting here with Rachel Sacco. She is the CEO, President, Leader Extraordinaire of Experience Scottsdale. I actually use the website a lot to find out what's going on in town to share with my listeners as well. So Rachel, let's kind of talk about the future of Scottsdale right now. We have just gotten through an amazing year for Scottsdale. I feel like it's helped us kind of like pick up from the loss of COVID years. What does this future of Scottsdale look like for us right now?
I think Scottsdale is poised to be one of those unforgettable destinations that people say, at some point, I want to get to Scottsdale. And others will say, Scottsdale is just going to be on my annual list because it's the place that my family wants to go, my friends want to go to. It's maybe the first place I think of when we want to celebrate a special occasion, because no matter what the occasion is, there's something here that really speaks to every special occasion. I'm really proud of how we have stayed true to who we are. In all of our marketing, we basically just show the destination as it is, and we help you feel what it would be like to be here. Summertime, obviously, is not our high season.
Yeah, let's talk about that. How do you get people here during the summertime?
Well, here's what we do. We learned during a lot of our research that I talked about earlier that, it doesn't help for us to say it's a dry heat. Because first of all, people don't believe you. They don't know what that is. And let's be honest, in the summer, where at least domestically in the United States, are you going to go besides maybe way, way up in Alaska or Northern California or someplace? It's hot almost everywhere. Or if it's not hot, it's also equally humid. So we started a campaign where we said, let's just tell the truth. That campaign for summer is called It's That Hot. And I have to tell you that people resonate with it. They're laughing. They're like, finally, someone is just saying it like it is. Because we say, it's that hot. And we show all the things that you can do and a play on words about it being hot. And then we say, and it's exactly what you need right now. And you know what? Our summertime has really, really increased in terms of people who want to come here for meetings because our price offerings are so attractive. But also people recognize there's so much to do here when they understand that you can hike in the early morning or be outside at night. And the temperature fluctuation is so great that it's almost like a completely different temperature.
Yeah.
From the midday to the early evening. So there's so much you can do even outside. And even during that heat of the day, there's so much here, whether it's water or whether it's museums. So our marketing is always with an eye to what is it that we need to say, and let's tell the truth about it. We have something else that we've been doing too. When we started doing a campaign for most of our whole annual campaign for advertising, we did some research, and we always led with the desert because we are so proud of the Sonoran Desert, because we've preserved about a third of our whole community in the Sonoran Desert, and there's no place like it in the world but here. And then when we started doing research and focus groups, we started understanding that people don't understand what Sonoran Desert means. They just hear desert and they think sandy and maybe scary and scorpions and maybe rattlesnakes. So we took a campaign based on people's almost fears and misperceptions and turned it on its ear. And I wish I could show it to you right now, but it might say the desert is hot. And then there is just this wonderful, couple dancing, then the desert is wild, because we heard people saying that, isn't it wild? And there's this darling family with young children going down a trail in the preserve, in the Sonoran Preserve. Or the desert is dry. Yes, and there's a group of lovely young women that are having a dry martini. And people are like, oh, okay, I'm starting to get it. So we're really just telling the truth, but also showing people that it's different. The experience here is different and unique and absolutely worth it.
It absolutely is. I can't say anything more than that. I can tell you what the easiest part of your job is, I'm sure, is just talking about Scottsdale. I mean, it's easy to do. What is something that's difficult for you and your team in Experience Scottsdale that you're having to work on right now?
What's difficult for us is having probably one of the smallest, like I said, except for Tucson, we thank God for Tucson, we have the smallest budget. And I don't say that with any sort of, it just is what it is what it is. And we punch above our weight. I'm really, really proud of that. However, we know that there are markets that would love to hear about us across the country. And so that's the only place where really budget comes in. When you need to we want to talk international markets. We want to talk even Canada and Mexico. We want to have our television commercials in all those places that are cold weather, like I said, New York, Chicago, all over. And your budget can just go so far. So it's a challenge for us to try to figure out what's the right balance of our messaging. And how we do that is we look at our research, we look at our target markets, and then we figure out ways that we can add on more. So we do a lot with our media, whether it be a satellite media tour where someone is coming on a television show and is talking about Scottsdale that actually is in partnership with us, or whether it is an out of home, as we call it, wonderful big thing, like when we take over the entire Grand Central Station in New York. And that is expensive, but it also has such a huge underpinning for when people see our ads and then they experience this incredible thing called Scottsdale. So we do lots of radio. We do lots of working with travel advisors, trying to find them so that they are telling our story. We have feet on the ground in some of our key European markets like the UK and Germany. So people are constantly out there on the road getting the message out about Scottsdale in various layered ways. And it's really working. It's really working.
Well, hey, if you ever need some feet on the ground in Europe, just give me a call, Rachel. I will absolutely gladly go represent Scottsdale anywhere you need me to go. Maybe
I'll keep that in mind
or anything. But yes, I got you. Let's talk about working and becoming a member of Experience Scottsdale. You all represent the small businesses and the communities and the events and everything that's going on. So how can we as members of the community be a part of Experience Scottsdale?
Well, number one, everyone's a part of Experience Scottsdale just by how you treat our visitors. And I think that's really a big message. Just remember that while you can't get your restaurant reservation, maybe tonight or maybe not Saturday or Sunday during Super Bowl, well, maybe during Super Bowl you can. It's important just to recognize that it's a small little trade-off. If you want to actually actively support us, we don't necessarily really ask for a lot from the community. We are trying to bring business to resorts and hotels and to restaurants and those that are on the front line of the visitor industry. And those are people that want to be a member. It's very, very affordable. It's under $400 annually, and you get lots for that. But it's also a direct pipeline for getting business that not only will come here, but hopefully come into your door. But the other part of it is we have a growing number of allied members, people maybe like yourself, people that maybe, like I mentioned earlier, a hospital or a printing business or a business that isn't necessarily on the front line of tourism, but says my business would not be as successful if it weren't for what you do to create the environment in our community and to create the lift financially for everyone, because every resident gets a chance to prosper because there's so much indirect benefit from tourism. So you could just be a member to support us without saying, I need to have leaves or anything back. And we would be so grateful to you for that. We don't do a lot of, as I say, of asking of that, but we, are here and we are so grateful anytime residents or small businesses or large businesses just want to invest in this machine that brings such positivity to Scottsdale.
I love it. And you all do absolutely nothing but positive, fun experiences. Well, this is going to be the toughest question I'm holding back for you, Rachel, but you of all people, what is your favorite Scottsdale vibe?
My vibe is probably just, it depends on what is going on. My favorite vibe is probably what you see right behind me. It is the place that inspires me. The desert has always been a source of connecting me to this place. And I remind myself over and over, there is no place like home except when you're here, like in this environment. But I have to tell you, last night being at ESPN, I got a shiver just thinking about, here's this quaint little Main Street being broadcast all around the world. That was a highlight. When I went out I'm going to be going out to the Waste Management Phoenix Open, of course. And I can tell you right then, I am just taken aback by how anyone could actually build that structure and entertain in that structure. And I'm humbled by the fact that our police and fire and community leaders keep us so on track and safe, and it works so seamlessly. That's a high point for me. Every time I walk into a resort and I see the work that goes behind the scenes to make people feel special, whether it's at Christmas time, holiday time, summertime, people in our hospitality business have the biggest hearts of any industry I can think of, and they have gone through the worst, and they're still taking care of each other and taking care of our residents and taking care of people from around the world because their heart is in this job.
I think that says who we are. The heart of, Scottsdale is the people that help make it beat. And I feel that every day being around the city, and it really is a great vibe. And that's where we came up with the name for the Scottsdale Vibes podcast, because that's what it is. It is a unique, special vibe, and you feel it when you get here. That is for sure.
You talked to me earlier a little bit about, just being a part of the Hash Knife Gang. That moves me to tears. And the Prado del Sol, I used to go to the Prado del Sol when I was a little girl. My parents lived here. And it makes me cry because I'm so proud. And it's so simple. And simple is really difficult to get to because we're bombarded by so much of the extraneous. So simple really tugs at your heartstrings. And those are two events that just make me so proud of Scottsdale. I
think you're absolutely right. I did. I got teary-eyed looking at the Cowboys and talking to them. And they, the sense of pride that they had riding in with that. And, everyone just, yelling Hash Knife, and the horses even knew, they were standing up a little straighter and stuff like that. It really is something unique and special. And you sense it, you feel it, and to be able to just touch it, is something on another level. So yes, I absolutely agree. Rachel, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. And most importantly, thank you to you and your team for continuing to put Scottsdale on the map. We'll get back to business, everyone. In just a couple of weeks, we'll have our little city, your reservations and everything else. The traffic will start to die down. But remember, this is for us to enjoy, and we get to reap the benefits every day while these people get a temporary, fix in their heart for what's
and maybe be proud wherever you travel to. If people say, where are you from? And you say Scottsdale, they're like, oh, Scottsdale, because I get that a lot. It makes me feel so proud. And we should all be proud to live here. Thank you for
I agree.
reminding your viewers of that.
Absolutely. Well, Rachel, you have a wonderful week. Good luck to you and your team. We're ranked 26. Let's get top 10. I'm going to put some pressure on you there. No big deal. All right, stay tuned. We'll have some calendar events coming up next. We've heard commercials for those other insurance agents, but when it comes to someone who knows Scottsdale and the insurance business, there's only one person you can trust with your stuff, and that's Jeremy Mueller of State Farm Insurance. Jeremy and his team of agents have been helping Scottsdale for over 20 years. From big purchases to rentals, there is nothing Jeremy can't cover at the best rate with the best service. Don't believe me? Then give him a call yourself at 480-515-5523 or find him on the web at jeremymueller.com. We all want that perfect smile, so who better to call for all your dental needs than Dr. Rob DeVito at Arizona Center for Laser Dentistry. Dr. DeVito and his staff offer the best dental experience. Whether it's time for your routine cleaning, one-of-a-kind laser dental treatment, or teeth whitening, their same-day service saves you time and money. And as a mom of 2 little ones, trust me, this is exactly what I need. Give Dr. DeVito a call at 480-990-1905. You can also find him on the web at drdevito.com. Well, if you are looking for anything to do around town after the calendar of events, there is a whole slew of things going on at experiencescottsdale.com. Check it out. It is bookmarked on my Google tabs because I go to it for everything and anything. It's a great source of places to go to see what events are going on, what deals, who's having what. So go check it out. The Jet Center Foundation, there's another event coming up this week, is a benefit for local charities that includes a silent auction offering trips, gift baskets, artwork, spirits, a wine pool, and something for all price ranges and interests. It's a local benefactor and organizations, and they're raising funds to include Angel Flight West to provide free medical transportation to people in need, Lost Our Home Pet Rescue that provides compassionate service to animals in crisis. We all have a little space for those cuties, and Ketty's Exchange Funding orphanages in Ghana and Mexico. The event's happening this Saturday, February 25th. Ticket prices started at $195, and it's happening here at the Scottsdale Airport. So go have a good time and get on the jets and see what they're all about. Don't forget the Arabian Horse Show is still going on this week through the 26th. It's events happening every day until 6 p.m. And don't forget to listen to last week's episode where we had Kathy VC on to hear all about the great things that are going on. And it's a fun family event. We are happening, so you should see me out there. All right, it is officially time. Scottsdale Super Season is actually kind of still going on because spring training is here. It's time. Everyone's coming in town. We got the Giants here in Scottsdale, of course, and there are games happening every day. Don't forget to check the calendar. Again, the descriptions of the episode are on the website. And don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Rank us, like us, share us. The more we grow, the more we get to see Scottsdale grow. Have a wonderful week, Scottsdale. Keep vibing, and I'll see you around town.